Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Babylon Bee interview show. Today we talked to Kurt Schlichter.
Schlichter.
Who wrote a book called We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America, or something like that. And he's a trial lawyer and an
He's a military guy.
I say ex, right? An Iraqi veteran.
He's a rear vet. He was making sure that he was in the back.
He made sure that we knew. He's like, I was not the main guy. I was just
really
there.
Far back. Yeah, that's what he kept saying. But he's also a novel writer.
Yeah, he writes novels. He wrote this book about. He's also really interested in Roman history, so he's kind of draws these connections between the fall of the Roman Empire and the fall of America.
Yeah,
and it was super interesting. But he actually has a positive and optimistic take about what's going to happen in our nation. So it was a really great conversation. He's a funny guy.
Super funny.
We'll see how much actually makes it in and how much we have to delete.
We're probably going to have to delete some of it.
It's only about 3 minutes long after all is said and done.
It's like Game of Thrones after VidAngel gets a hold of it.
But enjoy this interview with Kurt Schlichter. So I heard you left the Methodist church. How did that come about?
So we're in this Methodist church, right? And it's near and I start going there because my chaplain had been there. And it was Stan Ferguson. He's a great guy, Army guy. And, he actually has interesting sermons as opposed to Jesus is about love. Okay. No Twitter sermons.
That's true.
Where they have them.
It's like, it's true, but what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, can you expand on that?
Right.
No. And they all look like they went to the same seminary and got the same haircut, the men and the women.
Yeah.
And it's just...
That's right.
I'm like super Protestant, where it's like, I want no hierarchy.
Right.
If you have like a title, I'm like, Anyway, so Stan was cool. He leaves. We get, generic Methodist woman who's... I greet you with joy.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, I don't know about this.
All right.
Gotcha.
I'm going to give you a shot. So they
I always get suspicious when they preach about love and joy in church.
Well, when they start off with it.
Right.
And then they never go anywhere else.
Yeah. Or when it's like liturgical, when they're like, I will greet you with joy.
His voice was better.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Methodist.
I sounded like an alien.
I need church voice.
That's right.
So, they're having confirmation class. And it's like, okay, that sounds like a good thing to do because and my kids had started out at a Chabad, right? And they got they're an Israeli sniper for a teacher. It was good to go.
Like Hebrew school.
Well,
like
yes.
Hebrew school. Yeah.
No, I mean literally Hebrews.
Yeah.
Speaking Hebrew. And they literally, when they went to actual church camp, they killed it on Old Testament.
Oh, I bet
they owned. We added some Jesus, and it was great. And
that's a good summary of Christianity. Added Jesus, and it's great.
And it's awesome. And it completes it.
So anyway, we're going, okay, confirmation sounds like a good thing. Great. All right. So there's this little meeting after church, and there's all the families there. And they're like, okay, for our confirmation, we'll first begin by visiting a mosque. And everybody's going, oh, what a good idea. And I'm like, okay. I served in Kosovo. My interpreter, who helped keep me from getting killed, incidentally by Christians, was a Muslim guy. I appreciate Muslims, studied Islam. I'm like, maybe we should focus on Christianity first. I don't think it's a bad idea to learn about other religions. I also don't think it's a bad idea to, get more exercise.
Yes.
But aren't we here to turn out Christians? And everybody's getting kind of uncomfortable. And somebody goes, the minister goes, well, we've had students who we've taken to other places, and at the end they decide not to become Christian. And I'm like, okay, that's not an optimal result, right? You're unhappy about that. And she's kind of looking at me like I'm the idiot. And, my wife and I, she's Cuban, and she doesn't take any guff. I'm trying to keep it clean. trying to keep it FCC compliant.
Those breakfast tacos, man.
The breakfast tacos.
I married a breakfast taco.
Bicycle.
Who eats a breakfast taco? I know what a breakfast burrito is. It's an abomination.
I have had a breakfast taco, and let me tell you.
Like a Taco Bell, but that's...
Is that a positive thing?
They are something you should definitely try.
Well, look, the breakfast taco is definitely my, romantic demographic. But let's move on. So she's sitting there, and I'm like going, okay, you've lit the fuse. And I don't know where it was her or me who goes, we all agree that Christianity's true, right? I mean,
yeah.
We believe in our own religion, so we want to pass it on to our kids. Now, everybody's getting very uncomfortable now.
Right.
Except us. And, I've already had to have the, I've actually, when somebody was, Kurt, I think it's important that we learn about Muslims. And I'm like, okay, I spent a year working directly with Muslims in a Muslim country, but thanks for your input, guy who lives by the beach in California.
That's right.
And so I'm already
read a book or something.
Yeah, they're not. I've seen Colbert, and he's explained much of this. If you watch John Oliver, you'll understand. Okay, so you're mirroring. I forget. We believe Christianity is true, and everybody's uncomfortable. And I swear, somebody goes, "Well, who's to say Christianity's true?" And I kind of look at the minister, and she's kind of like, "I'm like, done."
Yeah.
Over.
Right.
We're out of here.
And you said it like that.
I probably said it more obscenely. We did not go back, and we were not missed.
So
did you have this look on your face when you said it?
Yes. Yes, I had exactly. I thought from my book, "We'll Be Back: The Fall and Rise of America."
You won't be back. Not to the Methodist Church.
Not to that one.
We won't be back.
And it was horrible and it was painful for my dad because he was a lifelong Methodist, and every time I'd see him, and he passed away in April. But every time I'd see him, he would have, I wrote another letter to the bishop. And I'm like, Dad,
yeah,
I don't think the bishop's listening to you.
Wasn't the Methodists had a massive split like last year, didn't they? They went through this.
I don't know. I don't do Methodism anymore.
No, not many do.
No, all the mainline churches are going away because there's nothing there.
Right.
I remember even as a kid, I was going,
right.
Laugh a lot of guitars. And it just, I mean...
Well, probably telling people that you're not sure if your religion is true isn't a great way to...
You would think that.
Yeah.
Now, I persuade people for a living as a trial lawyer. I have to, or used to have to convince them to go up hills to kill people as a, as an officer. I'm a writer. I try and persuade people. I would think starting out by going, I'm going to tell you what I think, except I want you to know I'm not positive about it.
Right.
I've got a lot of doubts.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find the whole thing bizarre.
Well, that's when you turn a confirmation into a deconstruction session.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means a deconversion session.
Yes, we're here to convince none of you to become Christians,
right.
and they're doing a great job.
We're here to deconvert you in this Methodist church.
And it's odd because I always had kind of the most. I never wasn't Christian. I started out, Presbyterian and Christian church, and a weird Presbyterian church back in Kansas City because my parents moved around before we settled in Northern California. And I remember in the Presbyterian church, and this is like 1970. I mean, it was literally the Sunday school teacher was going, well, black people are black because they've been cursed by God.
Ooh.
And I'm like, and I'm like 6, and I'm going, I don't think that's right.
That is a weird.
I think you should probably go back and reread your primary sources because I don't think that's in there.
Yeah,
I'm a little kid. So, but I never didn't believe in God, and there are a lot of people who will, you read, your apologetics and your Christian books about, here's the fact. And I just always kind of believe in God.
Yeah.
I just did.
You didn't need all the convincing.
I didn't need any convincing. It just, and I rigorously refused to try and prove his existence through like science and stuff, except for how do you get this by chance? How do you roll the dice? Yeah. And then you have this complex interplay of proteins and molecules and DNA and molecules. It just sort of happens, and we can't even make the most basic things happen in a lab, and we're super smart.
Yeah, this face does not come about by random chance.
No, that face is blessed. No, so I always just believed, and I still do. And
do you have any cool court stories like a you can't handle the truth moment?
Yes.
Can you tell us your coolest
I'm
court
doing
story?
a case for a friend of mine. It's a defamation case. And he was accused of taking, he was a commander, accused by a contract bus company, which would take guys off to training, of letting them smoke pot and use booze on the bus, drink booze on the bus, which is a career problem, if true. It was not true. But the bus company was mad at him because he let his guys into the bathroom on the bus, which they didn't want to have to clean. And they basically made allegations against him, investigate. His career got completely sidetracked. He actually went to Iraq after I won the case with another guy to redeem himself and ended up getting hit in the head with a rocket. Anyway, I'm up there. He lived.
Is he okay?
That escalated quickly.
He's okay.
Okay.
He actually calmed down after that. He was a whippy guy before that. Now he's a little more mellow. Got a couple texts from him today. Wow. But anyway,
after he got hit in the head with a rocket?
Yes.
That slowed him down, is what you're saying.
It chilled him.
Okay.
It was a chill kill. Actually, the rocket actually did kill the guy next to him.
Oh.
It didn't explode. So anyway, I'm sitting up there, and I'll tell you off air the funniest one because it's somewhat obscene. And but I'm sitting there, and I'm doing the closing argument, and I'm going, guys, or ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is about values. This is about values. Whose values are we going to have? Are we going to have the values of Private Ryan, and I point at my client, or the values of Cheech and Chong? $3,049,912, and I dated two of the jurors later. I was single at the time.
That's America's choice right now, actually, isn't it? Kind of. It's like
Cheech and Chong.
Private Ryan or Cheech and Chong.
Which way, Western?
Yes. Which way are you going? That was a good one.
Wow.
Gosh,
it's a good moment. Did everybody stand up and?
No, the jury was in the palm. Boy, when you're doing a jury, or have you guys done stand up?
Not doing a jury like when you're dating them, but
like dating, not doing the jury.
Yeah, not like
right.
Because
I'm
not.
I've done a lot of theater, not a lot of stand up.
No,
a lot of theater.
You guys haven't done stand up.
I write jokes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a certain time when you're in a play and you own the audience. And I'll do it in a speaking gig, and I know I have got them. And in a jury or a stand up or a speaking gig, and you've got them, and they're all like this.
Yeah.
And I get why stand ups do it. Remember how the stand-up, which I did for a while, is agonizing because, first of all, most stand-ups are lunatics. And most of them don't have like real careers or jobs. I always had a job, so I was like the stable one. I could also write for other people, which most stand-ups can't. But the thing about stand-up is there's so much pressure to do well, and you want to kill all the time, and there's nothing like killing. It's got to be what like smoking crack is. But it was a high. And the terrible thing is 50% of the time you are below average. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. So half the time you're going to be like, I could have been a lot better. And oh my gosh, we would drive out to we're driving all over Southern California. We'd take a bunch of comics with us. So we'd have like 5 comics in a car and be driving to freaking Victorville. And my poor wife, and just every comic goes, oh, that joke about sodomy did not land.
Yeah.
By the way, you want to hear my favorite joke? And it's Bible friendly.
They often don't.
Yeah, I would like to hear
this. This is giant. It got me. By the way, I said the word sodomy on my first national radio show, which was Dennis Miller's show with Larry O'Connor hosting, and I said sodomy, and it was on Salem, and they dumped me. It's the only time I've been dumped. It's my first appearance. I'm like, how can you dump me? It's in the Bible.
You're not allowed to say the word. You're
not allowed to say sodomy
or talk about sodomy.
I didn't describe it. I didn't go into specifics. I just said it.
You can't say it in a positive way.
And Salem has now published your book.
Salem has now published my book.
So you were back.
So I am back.
Okay.
And I say sodomy in there several times. But here's my favorite joke that I wrote.
What is this book about?
This is my favorite joke that I wrote, which is...
Wait, this is your joke. You wrote this joke.
I wrote this joke.
Okay.
Which is, we all know what happened in Sodom. But what happened in Gomorrah that's so bad no one will talk about it?
Yeah. It's a good question.
I think that's the funniest freaking joke I've ever written. Not the biggest laughs, but I'm the most proud of it. I don't know why, but I think it's funny as hell.
Okay, yeah, because sodomy. Okay, I got it.
That's right.
Get it?
Because what is Gomorrah?
See, exactly.
Gomorrah.
Exactly, because somebody in Gomorrah took it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's like, we're Sodom, and you know what happened here.
And it didn't make the
bad. Those guys are sick.
Look out.
They got some weird stuff.
Watch out for your goats.
So let's talk about guns. What's your favorite caliber? Top 5 calibers.
Well, 45, and then everything else follows. There's a whole chapter on guns in We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of
We did our
America.
research. That's why we're asking.
Look,
you said your favorite, though, is the 45.
I like the 45.
Yeah.
I carried it in the Army. I like the kind of no baloney stopping power that it has. I mean, 9mm, I've used those too. Those
They blow a lung right out of your body.
Yeah, right out.
They will blow. Well, that's a 22.
I thought it was the 9mm.
It's the 9mm.
Oh, that's 9mm that does it. Right.
Along out the back.
Try to get your facts straight. It's easy to get the calibers.
I should just listen to Joe Biden and he'll.
Isn't the 308 God's caliber though? Isn't it?
It's up there. It's definitely sacred. I like the 308. If you have like an M1,
like an old M1 Grand
or a SOCOM
from World War II.
Yeah, you can't miss.
Yeah.
If you're, I just love those.
Yeah.
Mess your shoulder up, but I like them. They will stop what you shoot at, and they will hit what you aim at.
But they're no 45.
They're no 45s.
Well, 45s. I like 45s.
So you wrote a bunch of novels.
I did.
I'm very interested in that.
The Kelly Turnbull novels.
The Kelly Turnbull. So I'm interested in the story.
Republic.
Yeah, and what's the kind of premise of your novels? What is the?
Well, the premise is the country has had a national divorce, which I also talk about in We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America, about why it couldn't happen. Then, of course, I write 6 best-selling novels, and I've sold a lot because they're fun. About essentially a national divorce with some Civil War stuff. And the idea was, for me, I was bored with, novels. I like action novels, spy novels, whatever. And I was just kind of bored. Unstoppable hero has another adventure against evil villain, and it's exactly the same. And I know where all the beats are going to be. And then it's going to end, and we'll have another in a year. And I'm not going to name any names, but
right.
You know who I'm talking about. And I was just bored. I mean, there was one very prominent and tiny writer who I got through about 6 pages of his book, and I was just like, I can't. It was written like 5 miles of bad road. It was just not interesting.
Just not anymore.
And then you made this face at the book.
I did. I actually pointed with that very scary finger, and I want to emphasize that is a finger.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if people can see from there. They may be curious.
We'll put an overlay.
We'll make sure they know.
No, that's a finger.
Kurt,
can we get a little thing that says finger and points to that?
So I had written some essentially books of tweets. I was just experimenting with the new technology of being able to put stuff out on Kindle. And I had already published traditionally. So I have 2 tracks. I have traditional books like We'll Be Back, The Fall and Rise of America. Is Regnery, which is a great house. And they published my last one. And the one before that was published by someone else. And then the one before that by someone else. So I had done that, but I was like, I don't want to ask anybody if I can do these books because I want to do them my way and I want to make them interesting. And they're not going to be structurally like the others. And there's going to be a lot of humor and there's going to be a lot of tangents and there's going to be like action. And I wrote
the word sodomy several times.
The word sodomy appears many times. Yep. Unfortunately, in the first one, I used a certain, is it profanity, obscenity, or vulgarity? Well, it begins with F. And I used it several
I
times.
think that's a slur.
Actually, I used it 37 times
Oh, wow.
because I did a search. And later people would come back and say, I love your book, but that was very distracting. So I actually use it much. I use
You added
profanity
more.
much
You
less.
use it much more. And then
Much more. You'll learn.
Yes.
No, I write this thing about, this operative, and I wanted no character. I just wanted a guy who propelled plot. Because there's nothing I hate more than when you have the SEAL Special Forces guy, and there's a puppy. Now we'll meet his inside soft self. I just thought that was stupid.
you're not a Save the Cat fan. So what?
No, I didn't save the cat. I actually
Shoots
set
the cat with a 45.
Set the cat on fire.
Yeah.
And I want to make Sid Field cry.
You're trying to create characters people hate.
No, I'm trying. What I'm trying to do is have a plot-driven novel set in a interesting milieu.
Have you ever written a screenplay about any of these?
I've optioned. Yes.
Have you optioned them?
I haven't optioned any of these.
Yeah.
I've optioned other ones, including
stuff.
the.
Do you have any Russian characters in your books?
Yes, there is one Russian.
There's a lot.
Would you like to audition right now?
There's a lot of Russian
For the movie?
That's very good.
I do
a cold open like James Bond in each of them.
Yeah.
That doesn't reflect to it may have a little bit, but it's actually some action set in like Chinese occupied Hawaii or Russia in one
I like
case.
that. Oh, that's cool.
And I do a cold open. All these books.
You do Chinese?
I can. I'm not right now.
Man, you are versatile, I think is the word. I want to write. I want to write what I want to write, and I want to have fun, and I want it to be something that I would read. And every once in a while, I'll pick them up and start reading. I'll go, "Hey, not bad." I'm very happy with these books. Like I said, I've sold a ton. Cool. People were very happy. They're pestering me to get the 7th out. The 7th will probably be out in September or October.
I just bought the first one, so I'm looking forward to reading.
Are you listening to it or
no? I'm going to read it, but okay. I do enjoy. I can read. Yeah.
You and that fancy book learning.
And what are some of your favorite novels that influenced you? I know you said you read a bunch that you hated.
I'm not influenced by the novels. I'm influenced by movies.
Okay.
And I grew up in the 70s, 80s, 70s, 80s. Back when movies were fun and when music was fun and when stuff was just cool. And I was deeply influenced by a lot of the 60s stuff. So you will find references to Guns and Navarone. You'll references to Heat, which is, I just love that movie.
Al Pacino, Val Kilmer.
Yes. Great Escape. Just these fun, Dirty Dozen, of course. Just these fun, just well-structured, entertaining movies.
Smokey and the Bandit, Cannonball Run.
In this new one, yes.
Right.
All right.
The new one will also have some Mad Max.
I can't wait.
I'll show you guys.
Beyond Thunderdome or like before that? Road Warrior.
I have Road Warrior is one of my favorite movies ever.
That's
I've seen it like 10 times in the theater. Yeah. I have never seen Thunderdome.
So Thunderdome doesn't hold up. When I was a kid, I watched it. It was like the best movie ever. Doesn't hold up as well. I'm sorry if that's blasphemy, but I haven't.
No, Thunderdome. I've seen bits. I was never interested enough to see it, which is so weird. It's like I'm the world's biggest Replacements fan, but I won't buy any Paul Westerberg solo albums. For more information on the Replacements,
well, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yes, they're okay.
Well, speaking of a post-apocalyptic wasteland, in your new book, You Liken America to Ancient Rome, which went through many transformations. So,
are you reading questions?
I am. Who is Julius? I don't know what this. I don't know. I don't know where this question's going.
Who would you cast as Julius Caesar now?
Who would I cast as Julius?
Who's Julius Caesar?
Yeah, who's Julius Caesar? Who's Mark Antony?
Well, that's interesting.
Who can I play?
Who's Cleopatra?
Who can Kyle play?
Well, first of all, there is a Julius Caesar-esque character in the new novel.
Oh, right.
That's coming up. Okay. I don't think it's not that close a fit.
Okay.
What we're looking at, I love Roman history, by the way. And of course I moved to mob stuff, and then I moved to Hollywood agent stuff. I'm like reading like about Mike Ovitz now as I walk, which is hilarious.
That's very interesting.
That's very odd. In any case, but the Roman history stuff has a lot of themes, specific stuff like who is a Julius Caesar? Well, There really isn't, because Julius Caesar was kind of a sui generis kind of guy. I mean, he was, a general. He was a nobleman, one heck of a writer.
And handsome to boot.
I mean, Julius Caesar knew how to.
You see all the
Julius Caesar.
busts. You see the busts.
He dated all 12 jurors.
Yeah.
Oh, Julius Caesar.
good.
He would have gotten with a court reporter while she was typing.
Yeah.
Julius Caesar was an interesting guy, but I mean, his ambition pretty much redefined
Right.
what Rome was going to be. Although he came at the end of like 100 years of conflict that basically killed the Republic. And we were talking about a little earlier. If you're just a dude and you've got like an olive farm, right? You're growing olives. I guess they come off trees. I don't know. I don't eat olives. I'm not interested in olives. I'm not casting aspersions on olives. We're olive-oriented people. But you get the idea. It's not gonna be a really big deal if you're living under the Republic or the Empire. You don't really know the difference. You know that up there stuff's happening. But that major transition had been coming for a long time. In America, are we undergoing a major transition now? I don't know. But the America that we have today is significantly different than the one I recall from the early 2000s. Or not 2000s, early 90s.
Early 90s, 80s.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, the 80s to me are like normal times. We're prosperous, very, really can't be challenged. You can say whatever you want, including controversial things, and nobody's going to come after you. You don't have this kind of social warfare.
What are some of the words that you could say in the 80s that would get you canceled now?
Yeah.
If you just want to listen to some.
I don't even want to. Well, some I don't want to say.
Yeah,
I just find it interesting that you could.
That was the joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in 1991, you think about like the 1990s. You're talking about 80s as kind of normal life. 90s, we start on the decline. Is
Yes.
that kind of your idea?
We hit the pinnacle.
Yeah.
In the early 90s, the destruction of the Iraqi army in the Gulf War. Now, I was at Corps Main, 7 Corps Main, probably the most powerful fighting force ever assembled in human history. And this force, along with 2 other corps, annihilated an entire army of a country in 4 days. And it wasn't like one battle in one place. This was over hundreds and hundreds of miles. Nothing like that has ever happened before.
If they were to be time traveled, teleported to ancient Rome, how many legions of Roman soldiers do you think?
A legion was about 5,000.
So how many do you think you could kill before they killed
Versus
you?
that
just
army.
endless waves of
Probably be
Romans.
just
At the most, there were something like 36 actual legions.
Like all the
And we
Persian
took out
army.
like 36 actual divisions.
So you could-
and when I say we, it's I was so far in the rear, you basically had to FedEx
A rear
bullets to
vet.
hit me.
So you think you could
I
kill
was
all
I
the
was in the
Romans?
back. There were the rear echelon guys. I was behind them.
Yeah.
I was at the Corps Main, just because that's where
So you think that fighting force could take out all of the Roman soldiers?
without noticing them.
Well, how quickly could they take out the Nazis?
The German forces, even at their best, would have lasted. The only advantage is the Iraqis were poor fighters. We thought they were going to be very good. There's no comparison to the power of the American 7 Corps at that time. This was the force that was supposed to destroy one of the 2 corps that was supposed to destroy the Warsaw Pact guys invading from the Cold War. And when the Cold War, essentially the wall fell, they moved the 7 Corps down to northern Saudi Arabia, and this whole fury just fell on the Iraqis. I mean, the smart ones gave up, and I remember driving by these giant, it was essentially pits that would just be carved out of the desert, which is thousands of Iraqi soldiers who had just given up. Just don't kill us. And our guys would basically go, walk that way, and then just move on until they hit opposition. Then they kill the opposition. So
what the heck happened
I don't know. Well, I do know.
in the decline?
We're at this pinnacle. We got cultural power. We got economic power. We have, diplomatic power. We have military power. Unquestioned. The Russians are looking at us. They're already falling apart. They're like, we can't compete. The Chinese are like, holy cow, it's going to take at least 31 years for parity. We stopped trying. There was a book out there called The End of History and The Last Man by Francis Fukuyama, where they basically said, oh, we're done. We've now established kind of liberal democracy, and liberal democracy is completely triumphed, and human nature, I guess, is repealed because nothing interesting is going to happen from now on.
Sounds like a Methodist.
Yes. And we just sort of stopped trying.
Coming up next, for Babylon Bee subscribers.
Climate change is a hoax. The whole abortion thing is fascinating, how it went from safe, legal, and rare. And it's actually brilliant. It doesn't necessarily energize your opposition. So much of this is driven by bizarre daddy issues, the need to be transgressive, to I'll show all of you. It's a manifestation of what Hunter Biden did. Hunter Biden's trying to hurt his dad by living the way he does.
This has been another edition of the Bee Weekly from the dedicated team of certified fake news journalists you can trust here at the Babylon Bee. Reminding you that someone out there knows something about Carmen, and we're going to find them.